What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 112 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. I am exhausted from watching the EUIC this past weekend.
I, on the other hand, was at Comic-Con and then I worked today, so I have not had a sense of at all what's been going on.
A lot of Pokemon. That's what. So for those living under a rock, EUIC was this past weekend. It's the largest event we've had since COVID. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was 291 Masters.
Yeah, that's the number you sent me, so I'm assuming so.
And then there was an extra, 23 players in juniors and seniors. So 314 total for just VGC.
Yeah, that's pretty decent, especially after, Jersey just shit the bed on their instance, but whatever.
Having pretty much just barely half that, if at all. But anywho, they're, as of recording right now, they finished their Swiss rounds and their top 8, top 4 matches. We're currently awaiting the grand finals match, which happens sometime tomorrow. I'm assuming probably 6 a.m. our time, but I don't want to wait that long.
Awful.
I don't want to wait that long to record.
I'll still be asleep.
Yeah, same.
And it normally wouldn't be a problem to record on Sunday afterwards, but I have stuff to do tomorrow and I don't know when I'm going to get home, so I would rather get this out and recorded now than potentially out late compared to how we've been doing things the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So we don't know who won, but
we know the teams that are fighting.
True. Can you just put up a giant banner when you're editing this saying, "Hey, congrats to whoever!"
Congrats
right now.
to this player on screen
to whoever
right
it was.
So there's been a couple big news things out of EUIC. The first one being Rinya Sun really didn't show up too much.
I wonder why.
I believe it was more so people were afraid to be countered. And so we're seeing a lot more random and off-meta, weird teams out of people. There's also just a lot of really strong players at this event compared to normal events because it's an EUIC. It's going to be... It's one of the pinnacle events of the year outside of the North American Championship and Worlds in the next, 2 or 3 months. And so everyone pretty much came out of the woodwork gunning to try and win. However, there is one Rinya Sun in top 8, and then it gets kind of cool, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But some other headlines from EUIC. If you have a cough, just stay home. I'm going to tell you that now. If you have any kind of cough.
What happened?
So apparently one of the participants in VGC Masters coughed at their table. And through the mask and all that, blah, blah, blah. The judge heard it. Apparently they had coughed earlier. And for the sake of safety and sanctity of the event, they disqualified the player. And told them to leave the premises.
I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. It is a very big precautionary proponent to do so. But at the same time, here in North America, in the middle of Missouri, it's allergy season.
Yeah.
So, every morning I wake up and I can't see in my eye, my throat is clogged up because I can't breathe because the plants try to kill me every year. But, so that is a thing. A lot of these players traveled how many miles to get there to be able to play in this? I get it. It sucks. I'm sorry to hear it happened. Oh, dude, it sucks. It sucks that that's the world we live in.
I feel like it could have been handled better on both sides. After said incident, that player went and got a COVID test negative, tried to get back in, showed him the negative test. They still wouldn't let him in. Unfortunately for them, I don't think they realized that the cough isn't what's like. If you have that cough or have a dry cough or whatever they describe it as, you have to wait so many hours before you can take a test. That's the protocol. You can't go take a test that night and expect to get in the same day. Like, that's just not how that works.
Yeah, that's the big deal is, immediately trying to get back in, I think is also pretty sketchy.
Yeah, like, but they weren't going to let you back in even if the test, like,
if the test was negative. 0% chance you were getting back in on the same day.
Same day, the next day. You usually have to wait like 48 hours for that kind of stuff. And then you can go take the test. Like, they tell you monitor symptoms for 48 to 72 hours, then go get a test if you still have symptoms or blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And so it became this whole big thing on Twitter. I was kind of keeping track on it. Players like me who have anywhere from mild to severe asthma will probably have a cough at some point. So pack your inhalers.
Better get it taken care of now.
Pack your inhalers if you have them. Make sure
take your allergy meds with you.
Yeah, make sure you're staying hydrated, not in the venue, obviously outside the venue, things like that. Because they will not allow food and drink in the venue either. So be prepared for that. Man. Yeah, it's a mess. But this is the world. That's the sacrifices you're having to make to play Pokemon right now, or any event, really, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
What other big headlines were there? TCG was huge. They were still playing Swiss rounds when VGC started their top 8. So
yeah, I have not got to look at like I said, I've obviously been very busy the last couple of days and have not got to look at anything. I did see on the drive home, I'm like, oh, I can watch coverage. And I'm like, oh no, VGC's already done, but I can watch TCG content.
Yeah. I got to see Octillery on top 8. If that makes you feel better.
I love Octillery. It's so good.
It had Octillery and like there was a Crobat and some other stuff going on, but
that sounds about right.
I saw that on top. I got to see a little bit of TCG today, but just for like reference, VGC played 9 rounds yesterday, or on Friday, and then they played another 5 plus their top 8 and top 4 matches today. So there were players that had played like 16 rounds of Pokemon in 2 days. Okay, so take that into perspective. That's just VGC. Okay, TCG was still playing Pokemon after VGC ended day 1 and after VGC ended day 2. So even more hours of Pokemon for just TCG. It's just nuts. I couldn't imagine playing Pokemon for like 10 hours 2 days in a row. Couldn't imagine it. Like, I'm good. I got other things to do. I'll go play a 2-day event where it's like, if I can scrub out day 1 and be fine. That's cool. Whatever. But 20 hours of Pokemon in 2 days.
Isn't that like the dream?
And then if you win all of that, you have to play Pokemon again tomorrow.
Oh no, I had to play more Pokemon.
They have Pokken tomorrow too. Pokken's going to be on camera tomorrow. Pokemon Go is also going to be on camera tomorrow.
I did see Pokemon Go had their coverage from, I think it was day 1. That was like 10 hours long. I'm just like, what is this stream?
So
why is there a 10-hour stream of Pokemon Go?
I haven't got to see any of the Pokemon Go. I have no idea how their matches are played or how long it takes or whatever.
Yep, same.
But I'm interested in seeing all of that because I think it'd be really, really cool. Just to like see it, because I've never really got into the battling part of Pokemon Go. And I think it'd be cool to just like see how people play that are like serious about it.
Yep.
Um, but anywho, enough stalling and talking about recent events. You want to talk about some of these teams here?
Sure. I know we have the top 8 teams. Obviously, we do not have pace because, like, sharing your team while you're still in the middle of the event seems
kind of sus.
Questionable. Yes. But
okay.
We do have the top 8, at least, you know, the Mons that were played. I believe you said there was one that was, like, known. Okay, yep, cool.
There was one cool one to talk about here in a minute when we get to it. I figured we'd start with the number 1 seed and work our way down.
Yep, for sure. Sounds great. Sounds absolutely perfect.
So, to the surprise of no one, number 1 seed is Rinya Sun in the hand of Eric Rios. They are currently number 1 overall still because they've won every match that they've played.
How many times is this team gonna win an event and people still not like respect it and like just want to bring it?
People are respecting it. The problem is nobody else wanted to bring Rinya Sun. So the guy who played it at Liverpool and won with it at Liverpool is gonna win with it again, probably.
Carl, I'm telling you, man, you just need to play this team. I legitimately think this is the best team in the format, and I think it should be what you're playing in Indy.
Maybe. I still got time.
I know you're on the fence, but this is what I would be playing. I would play the version that you have that is slightly speed crept just to outspeed the opposing teams. I think that's like the biggest iteration you can have on the current team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to double check, make sure that Eric is the one who won Liverpool. I'm pretty sure he is. I am 99% sure Eric is the one who won Liverpool. Yeah. Yep, he is. With Rinya Sun. Funnily enough, his paste never got leaked from Liverpool.
Beautiful.
And since there was no actual like video coverage of Liverpool that I remember, no one really knew a ton about his team other than word of mouth. He has been playing the Trick Iron Ball set Grimmsnarl the entire time, I guess. That's the version he's comfortable with, which that's cool. It's got Iron Ball and Thunder Wave, it's Trick Iron Ball, Thunder Wave, and whatnot. His match against Joe was really, really close. Joe got him game 1 by getting him to trick Assault Vest onto his Grimmsnarl. And then it just shut Grimmsnarl down. Like, that was... You have a dead Pokemon, like, right here. Like, it'll soak up damage, but it's not doing anything else other than Spirit Break.
Just got him.
And, like, Iron Ball Groudon doesn't really mean a whole lot. That's not a big deal. But
like, sure, whatever, I'll take it.
Like, the big things we know about this Rinya Sun team, like, it's Chartyberry's Charizard, Leftovers Gastrodon, Shukaberry Ensign, AB Groudon. It's pretty standard stuff outside of that Grimmsnarl set. You could probably find rental codes for it somewhere. It's not hard to find it. It's pretty easy to play, pretty straightforward. It's hard to play optimally, but it's easy to just pick up and just win best of ones with it.
Yeah, that you know is like very much the story of this game. I feel like it's just absurdly good, and you know, you and I were talking about it before we started recording. It's just like this team has so many outs to so many things, and like it doesn't matter if you play poorly or like how disadvantageous you're of a position you're in. You can just come back and win out of nowhere.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just genuinely absurd.
The best way to describe this team is you're allowed to make mistakes. Like, you can make a couple mistakes here or there, and the team just fixes that problem for you without you actually having to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so good. That's why it wins all the time. Is the good players who pick it up are allowed to relax a little bit, and they aren't under so much pressure, so they can make the right plays, they can make reads properly, and it snowballs advantages that way. Next up, we get away from the standard immediately. And we move on to the second place team after Swiss in the hands of Victor Medina. This one is Dual Weather. This is something we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, this team is super cool. We have, of course, your pretty like well-known archetype of like Zacian plus Kyogre. Of course, Tornadus here to round that out. Ensign because it's a format staple, and then Torkoal Venu on this as well. And honestly, I think that Venusaur is a very good piece of technology on this team to potentially fight the like Rinya Sun teams and just be like, all right, cool, you have a Charizard, but it's not going to do anything when it's asleep.
Yeah, so because a lot of the Charizards have migrated to that Charty Berry for mirrors and whatnot, Lumberry is not so popular anymore. And so Venusaur has begun to rise in popularity as just like, I'm going to just put you to sleep.
So how long before we see Fake Out on Grimmsnarl to like counteract Venusaur's sleep powdering your Charizard?
Oh, it's probably not very far off, let's be honest.
Like, I think that's just like the next iteration. It's just like you have Fake Out Grimmsnarl. And like, I mean, just one shot. You could also just lead
Incineroar Charizard and solve the problem.
Yeah, like that also is just fine. Yeah. Like, just two things that punish Venusaur immensely.
Now, we'll talk more about Venusaur as we get through this stuff because it's everywhere right now in top 8. I said there was 3 before we got started today. Yeah, there's 3, and they're all like right next to each other. So we're going to be talking about Venusaur a lot here for the next little bit here. But what's cool about this is like we saw variations of this in Series 8 and Series 11. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw these Kyogre, Torkoal, Venusaur, Fire, Water, Grass cores with Tornadus and Incineroar, and then usually a random Steel type, right? And so now you get to play Zacian. Zacian is just going to blow people up anyway. And what's great about this is with that Zacian, you get to play 2 solid cores on the same squad. Because you have the core of Zacian, Kyogre, Incineroar, Tornadus for your rain mode. And then you have Zacian, Venusaur, Torkoal, Incineroar for your sun mode. And you can switch around a couple pieces here or there depending on what's going on. Like, if they have Gastrodon, like you're playing against Rinya Sun, you bring Zacian, Kyogre, Venusaur, Tornadus. Because they're going to set sun for you most likely. You don't need to bring Torkoal. And if they're like Kartana heavy for your Kyogre, and they have their own way to control weather, you don't need to really worry about Torkoal. You just bring Tornadus and click Tailwind.
Yep.
It's the same
just
thing.
Punish them that way.
And it's the same thing. And so it's super duper like dynamic and cool to watch this team play a little bit. I don't think we got to see. No, we did get to see this one on camera. We did get to see it on camera, and it was up against Alex De La Pasqua, yeah, who has a very cool rendition of like a Calyrex Ice Trick Room, and he just got mopped. Like this team was just able to pivot and just stall out Trick Room and then stop the second Trick Room, and I believe Alex didn't get all Pokemon knocked out on his side. He just conceded matches. Like that's how bad it was. Like he realized like, oh, I can't win this anymore, and he knew he was done. So I would expect to see stuff like this in the future. This seems really, really cool and really, really dynamic, and if you are really good at playing with certain cores and learning how to mesh them together and pivot around with that stuff, this is definitely the team for you. I think this could be super duper cool moving forward into like Indy and New Jersey and whatnot. I don't think we ever got to see it play against Rinya Sun. I imagine the matchups very 50-50, kind of like how like other
the majority of those matchups are.
Yeah, I feel like this one more so is very 50-50 on what your opponent brings more than what you bring. Because you're very like locked into, I'm going to bring Kyogre, Tornadus, Zacian, and probably Incineroar, and that's my 4 every time. And depending on what they bring, if they bring like Incineroar, Grimmsnarl lead, if they bring Charizard, Grimmsnarl, Charizard, Groudon, whatever, you have to kind of adapt accordingly for game 2 and game 3.
Yeah, it's really sick. I'm a big fan of like what we have going on.
Yeah, I like a lot of this. Next up, another Venusaur team in the hands of. I'm gonna butcher this probably. My throat is just shot. Girl. Yep. Nope. I can't say it. You say it.
Guillermo Castilla.
There you go.
So I looked them up on Limitless because I thought the name looked really familiar. And from what I've seen, they won Spain Nationals in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
At Italy Nationals in 2012. And then like Sword and Shield era, we have a regional win in Bochum.
I can't. I'm not looking at that, so I can tell you how to pronounce it.
It's Bochum.
Bochum.
Back in January of 2020. So this is like Series 2 stuff with like Mudsdale and Togekiss.
Get him.
But like, you know, not a stranger to playing with Venusaur. They had a 4th place regional finish. And I'm assuming this is Ultra Series because we have Dialga, Ho-Oh plus Mega Venusaur here. Like, that team looks really sick. But yeah, I think this is like a pretty sweet team in all actuality here. With, you know, we have Lunala Dawn, Fini plus Venu, Thundurus, and then Ensign, of course, as well. I believe you said there are 7 Ensigns.
Yes.
Yep.
7 Incineroar in the top 8. The one not playing Incineroar was playing Weezing. So that's kind of cool. But this squad is something we don't get to see too terribly often. Lunala Groudon is a very strong combo. Mainly due to the fact that Lunala just like gets to bully Kyogre a whole lot, right? Lunala gets to set Trick Room, which Kyogre always wants to go fast. Lunala also gets Wide Guard, which really puts a hamper on what Kyogre wants to do. And then again, you have Venusaur. Incineroar here is just a strong lead a lot of the time. You can have Groudon in the back, pivot Incineroar out into Groudon, set Sun for Venu, get to do all that. If you expect flying moves into your Venusaur, you can pivot Thundurus in and take that hit probably. So there's a lot of good pivots here that can just go around and in and out. I believe this is the only Thundurus in Top Cut 2.
I believe that is correct.
Which I'm very surprised. This is not the Ghost Psychic Pokemon I expected to see in Top Cut. My original prediction video, I had Calyrex Shadow winning the whole thing, and there's not even one to like in Top Cut.
To be fair, there is a Calyrex, just the wrong form.
Yeah, it's just the wrong one. But I was really high on Thundurus going into this event. Life Orb Thundurus is very strong right now. It's great into the opposing Rinya Sun teams. I believe there's a role to Oko Gastrodon with like Life Orb boosted Max Air. I think that's a role.
Okay. Sick.
Which you don't have to worry about that on this squad. I'm not sure if you're Life Orb Thundurus on this one or not. You could also just be Prankster Thundurus because you're wanting the Dynamax Venusaur anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as we know about this is just paste, I kind of just slapped Defiant because Defiant makes the most sense. But it could have been Prankster. We never saw it on camera during Top Cut, unfortunately. And if we did see it on Swiss rounds, it was when I wasn't watching, so it probably was like between rounds 1 and 4 on day 1, or rounds 10 and 12 on day 2.
Well, I will tell you, in the event you want to go back and like watch the coverage you missed, it all is up on the YouTube page, the Pokemon YouTube page. So that's just like an open thing to everyone in case there is something you've missed. I plan on spending at least a little bit of time either tonight or the next couple days trying to watch stuff just to try to get caught back up.
I do want to point out the kind of non-bow between Venusaur and Tapuffini. Most of the time, you're probably going to Dynamax Venusaur if you're bringing Fini because you're not going to be safe sleep powdering a lot of the time.
Or you have like Fini in the back and are able to like sleep powder their Dynamax target, then switch in Fini and do your thing or whatever.
But like if you're in a position where you have to protect your Venusaur from say like a Thunder Wave or something, just don't go for the sleep move.
Agreed.
This Tapu Fini could honestly be a Gastrodon on the squad. I think it would be fine. I
could take it or leave it.
Like
I have no complaints either way.
You've got a Dark type and Incineroar for Calyrex Shadow, which is probably the big problem a lot of this team has. So this could be another. You could just play Gastrodon, have Yawn. You could play. Or you could just stick with the Fini and have be fine. Fini's a great answer into Yveltal most of the time, so you have that there. And Yveltal kind of probably tears this team up with Venusaur and Lunala both being weak to it. Okay. Next.
That brings us to Mr. Joseph U9.
Yep. Joe UX9, aka Joseph Ugarte. Playing Lunaladon. This is what I've been working on for weeks, trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like about this squad, and there's a lot to like about Joe's build specifically.
There's a lot to really love about this.
So this one's special.
Mm-hmm.
This one has our first Porygon 2.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact. Yveltal Groudon usually doesn't play Porygon 2.
Okay, so what's the reasoning behind playing it then?
So I think what it is you're sacrificing your Calyrex Ice matchup, which you don't expect to be super duper popular, to try and get points against Calyrex Shadow and Rinya Sun sometimes.
Okay.
So the cool part about Porygon 2 is just a wall. It takes everything easily, and you can Oko Calyrex Shadow with Analytic Foul Play.
Okay.
That's the big thing it does. It's also just your speed control in the game, which Bronzong was also doing. Bronzong got to do like Iron Defense Body Press stuff, and it was cool. It had Levitate, so you could pivot around, protect your Ensign, protect your Regieleki, cool stuff like that. Porygon 2 just doesn't care. It'll take the hits. I'm not exactly sure if Porygon 2 is the right Pokemon in this slot, but it's the coolest Pokemon in that slot by far. But the big thing this team is trying to do is once you get a powerful lead, once you show your lead, you try to pressure them with that lead and get them to pivot and try to make a good read and get into a better position overall. The one game of Top Cut we got to see Joe play, once he figured out what his opponent's team was doing, game 3, he just blew through it. I think it was over in like 4 turns. He played Javier Valdez in Top Cut, and it was double steel, wheezing Blastoise, Porygon 2 Rillaboom, and Joe just blew through it like it was paper in game 3. Like once he had figured out what their leads did and whatnot, this team could just take advantage of it. It's a very strong best of 3 team because you have a ton of tools, and once you know what your opponent is doing, you can usually eke out a victory and get ahead in certain aspects of the game. That being said, this is also a very weak team in the same vein. You don't have like a lot of the utility that like a Grimmsnarl would offer for Yveltal or Double Intimidate. Usually with Yveltal, Regieleki, you see like Landorus and Incineroar or Grimmsnarl and Incineroar or stuff like that, and you don't really have that option here. You're kind of limited on your slots. If I remember correctly, it is AV Groudon and Life Orb Yveltal and Magnet Aleki. If I'm remembering all that correctly. So your Yveltal's going to take a ton of damage just naturally because you've lost a lot of your bulk from that AV. But it makes it a better Dynamax target by far. And then Groudon's the standard AV Groudon set. Nothing crazy there. Regieleki's super duper standard too. I believe it was special Eleki with E-Web, Thunderbolt, Protect, and I think it was Hyper Beam was the last move, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just to potentially deal with any lightning rod. I mean, obviously it's not like very prevalent in the format, and by that I mean like non-existent, but having that potential out is also just good. And like having Eleki as a max target and having like max strike is also just decent. Yeah. Obviously, like firing off super powered max lightning thanks to transistor is just better majority of the time.
Yeah. The Venusaur, if I remember correctly, is Sash, Helping Hand, Frenzy Plant, Earth Power, Sleep Powder with Focus Sash. That sounds correct. I think that's what it was. The Helping Hand is super duper cool because just like if your Venusaur can't really do a whole lot, it's still going to be able to just clap, clap, clap and boost whatever's sitting next to it to blow something up. Incineroar, fun fact, I think this Incineroar is built to Dynamax. From what I saw of the moves on it, you can Dynamax this Incineroar and just deal significant damage to things you really have a problem with. Having access to like Throat Chop on Incineroar when you max gives you just like super boosted max darkness thanks to Yveltal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need a physical dark type move, Incineroar's got you covered for the most part. And then Porygon 2 also gets that benefit from Yveltal's Dark Aura because I think your only damaging move is Foul Play.
And then like Recover, Trick Room, and Eerie Impulse, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I believe that's the set, yeah.
Did you say what item Eleki was?
Magnet.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Magnet or Life Orb.
Life Orb is on Yveltal. I do remember all of these because this is the one I paid the most attention to. But yeah, this is a cool adaptation. I'm not sure exactly how good Porygon 2 is in this game right now because Zacian's a problem. Urshifu's becoming popular too, so keep an eye out for that. You might have to swap Porygon 2 to a Ghost type. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this team is very, very interesting, at least on like face value. Having Venu and P2 on this team is very, like, obviously like Joe is a very, very good player.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like he could pile a ham sandwich to a win. But like, you know, in a tournament like this, a ham sandwich isn't going to win.
Yeah,
regardless of who it's piloted by.
Yeah, your team has to be solid for this kind of event, and he had to play hard to get to this spot. He was X and 2 going into day 2, and then he dropped I think he dropped both matches on camera that he had on camera. He dropped both of them. His day 1 match he had on camera, he lost to a Shedinja, and his day 2 match he had on camera, I think he lost to Alex.
We were kind of talking about that a little bit earlier over in the RTT server. They were talking about how, like, if you see Shedinja on the other side, don't you just have to bring like everything that can potentially touch it? Like, I don't see how you just lose to Shedinja. And like, I get it. Like, but like on this team, man, when you have like Yveltal, Incineroar, P2, presumably Groudon that can also touch it, it's just like Venusaur and Eleki obviously can't. Unless you're playing Weather Ball Venu, which I would be very surprised by. But
so like, the big thing
you just
about
have so many targets that can hit it.
There were some extra things that go with that Shedinja that forced Venusaur and Regieleki, namely Kyogre and I believe Regigigas. The day one he lost to Shedinja, it was a Kyogre team, and I believe it was paired with Gigas. So it was like Gigas, Weezing, Kyogre, Barraskewda, Shedinja, Zacian, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like that forces your hand. You have to bring Venusaur, you have to bring Regieleki, you have to bring those Pokemon to deal with Kyogre, and that's when Shedinja's good. So the Shedinja has Endure, which has become super standard. It's Poltergeist, Shadow Sneak, Endure, and I think Ally Switch or Will-O-Wisp or something. And so it endured the first turn. Groudon hit it with a Heat Crash. Can't do anything with that. And then it had gotten to low enough health after a burn that Poltergeist was able to pick it up. And then it was a 1v1 between Shedinja and Regieleki.
Interesting. And as we know, that is not a favorable matchup.
Yeah, unless your Regieleki has Acrobatics or Assurance, you're not winning that one. So...
Yeah, I just... yeah, that's unfortunate, but, like, I get it. Yeah. I really do.
Yep. Number 5 here is Javier Valdez, and this is probably the most interesting team in Top Cut, I would say.
Yeah, this team is definitely very unique. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot of neat stuff. So we have a lot of cool abilities that kind of work with neutralizing gas and abilities that don't care about neutralizing gas. So we have Pressure Dialga, big whoop. Torrent Blastoise, big whoop. We have Intrepid Sword, Zacian, which you can use Weezing to get multiple Intrepid Sword boosts.
Mm-hmm.
We have...
Which, dude, is just so bizarre. Like, I get it, but, like, if the mon is already on the field...
It shouldn't count.
I feel like the game should have a check of, has this ability triggered? If so, then no.
Grassy Surge Rillaboom gets to do the same thing. You can pivot Weezing in and out to reset terrain. Like, if they change it.
That one is cool and can actually be useful.
And then Analytic P2 again. Because this thing's... Analytic P2 is scary. I don't know how much ladder you've played on Showdown. Dynamax P2 is wreaking havoc right now.
On Showdown, approximately 0.
Yeah, on Showdown, Dynamax P2 is scary. And so the idea behind this one is... Dialga, Porygon can both set Trick Room. Blastoise is kind of slow. Weezing's kind of slow. Rillaboom's about that mid-speed, doesn't really care too much. But your big thing is trying to use Trick Room against the fast teams or counter Trick Room against the slow teams. You're kind of in that mid-speed tier that it's kind of awkward, I would call it. Kind of like how Joe's team is kind of in that mid-speed tier, but Joe has a lot of actual like speed tools, like Electroweb, Airstreams, Chlorophyll on Venusaur. Like there's ways that Joe can go fast. This team can't do that.
Did you say chlorophyll or chloroform?
Chlorophyll.
Okay. I mean, like, it is sleep powdering people, so like I wasn't sure. Like fast sleep powder. I was really confused, but
the big thing here is this team doesn't go fast. This team doesn't have great like speed control at all. I believe Blastoise probably had Icy Wind.
Does the Dialga have Trick Room?
Yeah, I'm assuming it does.
I would be surprised if like it and or P2 both don't.
One of them has to have it, right? Like,
and then you have like multiple fake out users in like Blastoise and Rillaboom, so like that's your best way of setting up Trick Room is like, you know, enduring a hit or just going for fake out and like preventing a double up.
Yep. And so when you can't go, when you can't do the slow mode, you kind of just use your Trick Room to stop theirs, use your fake out to stop theirs from going up, because Weezing gets to turn off everything. So you don't ever have to worry about like psychic terrain, not a problem. So many Weezing's just such a cool Pokemon that just gets to do so many cool things. It's kind of unfortunate that Javier just kind of got bumped out before it got a chance to like run into Rinya Sun or run into these Kyogre teams to where it gets to actually punish them.
And you know, like having access to multiple forms of speed control, specifically like Trick Room in this instance. Like looking at the teams above it, there's no Tailwind in this entire top 8.
Yeah, outside of the Tornadoes.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I literally just blanked on looking at them. I'm like, there's no Whimsicott, therefore there's no Tailwind. But yeah,
there's no Whimsicott, there's none of our popular Tailwind that we have been seeing for weeks, right?
And like, I'm going to assume that the Yveltals don't have it. I would be very surprised if Yveltal has Tailwind on either of those teams.
You might want to. I don't know for sure. I know Marcus's was 80, but I don't know the full set for Joe's.
Like I said, I would be surprised.
It's still max guard
based off of. True, that is very true.
It is still a max guard.
But we'll talk about it a little bit next week for like Team of the Week. But the number of games where you can just like Trick Room against an opposing Tailwind and like immediately just be in an advantageous position with like a Zacian on the field is just like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Like Trick Room Zacian is a thing now.
Yeah. Trick Room Zacian is a thing. It's funny you say that because Zacians have started to migrate towards being jolly over adamant.
Just get them.
As everyone's trying to speed creep. So if you just want to stay bulky, just play Trick Room.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Just get people that way.
But yeah, this team is the most unique, and I think Dialga just suffers too much in a format run by Groudon and like Charizard and Venusaur to be viable. I believe Dialga has Flamethrower.
Sick.
I believe it's this one. If it's not this one, it's someone else. There was another Dialga that had Flamethrower instead of the traditional Ice move in that slot, which is super duper cool.
I'm a fan of that, especially with like the amount of Groudons running around. Just being able to have super powered sun boosted Flamethrowers is sick.
Yeah, and not having any Incineroar means you need that fire coverage.
Which like we'll talk about it again when we get to this week's Team of the Week. But like using your opponent's sun against them is sick.
Oh yeah,
it's so cool. Speaking of which, I should probably send you that.
Yeah, I'll need that eventually. Next up, we have our other grand finalist, Oliver Escalant. This is another Zacian Kyogre team. This is a very standard Zacian Kyogre, and we traded Whimsicott again for Tornadus.
I mean, like, Tornogre is just, like, good. I am not surprised to see Tornadus in that slot as opposed to, like, Whimsicott.
Hey, you know how you beat Weezing?
Play abilities that you don't care about?
Fast Rain Dance.
Oh, that I mean, I guess that's also fair.
I believe that's why we're seeing more Tornadus than Whimsicott. Tornadus gets access to Rain Dance. And so if things are turning off your abilities like Weezing, if that's something that's super duper popular, just play Tornadus. It's going to outspeed stuff so you get your weather back. And it works against the opposing like Groudon teams too. As they pivot Groudon in, you just set Rain Dance again, and now you have the rain again. And then you get rain boosted water spouts and just get to blow stuff up again. Outside of the Tornadus, it also has a Landorus. Usually we see like Kartana or Zapdos in this slot.
I really like Kartana, man. I think it's sweet.
I think Landorus fits better right now because Landorus really helps your Rinya Sun matchup. Being able to intimidate Groudon, you don't have to ever worry about getting hit by like P-Blades or anything like that. You have rock coverage to beat up Charizard. If you're playing White Herb, you don't care about like Incineroar for the first Intimidate, and you might be able to get a max Quake off and deal significant damage, or you can just max Rockfall for safety and just chunk it really good. It's great into their Zacian, so like outside of Grimmsnarl just trying to like put an Iron Ball on you, Landorus is fantastic. Outside of that, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Kyogre, standard Fire, Water, Grass, Zacian's great Steel type. This team feels super duper standard compared to other stuff that we've been talking about today, and I'm not surprised that this is the other grand finalist team.
Agreed. Yeah, this team looks very, very good.
Next up, number 7, Alex De La Pasqua. This is our only Calyrex Ice Trick Room, like hard Trick Room team. In the deep dive last week, I talked about how, not last week, it was in the predictions video. I kind of talked about how this was Calyrex Ice and Palkia's last chance to actually do something. It turns out Palkia's not the one you wanted to play.
We figured it out, people.
Reshiram definitely fits a little bit better on this squad because it really helps your Zacian matchup a ton, right? Like,
yeah, I think so. I think it's actually pretty decent in all actuality.
Like, it's not setting Trick Room like Palkia is doing, but Palkia kind of just doesn't do anything outside of Max. You're like just clicking Spatial Rend over and over and over, or praying like that you hit Hydro Pumps.
You still take a ton from Play Rough as well, where it's like you have a resisted and a neutral hit from Zacian on both of its stabs, which are obviously like much preferable. And like you just are able to do a ton of damage back to it as well.
Yeah, like you have natural Fire Stab. Turbo Blaze is cool. It's just like you just get to ignore anything that could be a problem for you. And this is the return of Mimikyu Calyrex Ice. We hadn't seen Mimikyu on these Calyrex Ice teams in a very long time. And so I wanted to bring this up because we're used to seeing Mental Herb just to stop Taunt. This one was Safety Goggles.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know that's something that a couple guys on USPA were working on was Safety Goggles Mimikyu.
And it's interesting because it plays around exactly Venusaur being popular. Because that's how you lose to this team is Venusaur puts your Mimikyu to sleep. Because if your Incineroar is not faster than their Incineroar, you lose that speed tie, and then now your Mimikyu's asleep. Now you're really far behind. And so Safety Goggles really punishes that. On the flip side, if the Tornaduses have Taunt, you're in trouble. Again, you're playing that Incineroar speed tie, and you have to kind of force yourself into an Amoonguss Mimikyu lead, which can get super duper punished really quickly.
Agreed.
The other cool thing, I didn't put it on here, their Incineroar was eject button. So you could set up Trick Room with Mimikyu, and if they just focused your Incineroar to stop it from doing its fake out thing, Incineroar goes out, Calyrex Ice comes in, Mimikyu gets set up Trick Room, and then you could safely Shadow Sneak and Dynamax or Glacial Lance or whatever. However, we saw this abused a ton. Once they know that eject button's there,
that's the biggest thing is once they know it's there, they can abuse it all they want.
Yeah, they sit there and they bully you essentially.
They ignore it until they need to deal with it, and then it's just a free turn.
Yeah, when Alex was fighting for their top cut spot against Marcus, Marcus found it game 1. Alex won in like 2 or 3 turns after that because it just set up Calyrex Ice. Calyrex Ice just swept through Yveltal, no problem, right? And so after that, Marcus drew out Alex's team to time for game 2. Was able to correctly identify, oh, I just don't hit the Incineroar. And was able
just to ignore the Incin, and then eventually we get there.
Was able to pivot around, stall out 2 sets of Trick Room turns to win the game off of HP. And then Marcus ended up losing game 3 to a Dynamax Calyrex Ice. Because, let's be honest, if you're like, I knew it because I've been playing a lot with Yveltal. Calyrex Ice just destroys your Yveltal teams no matter what, because you want to have like grass coverage for Kyogre, and you want to have like Reggie Eliki for speed control, and Calyrex Ice just beats all of those up. So I'm like, why are you just not Dynamaxing Calyrex Ice? You win this game in like 3 turns if you do that. And so that's what ended up happening. Game 3 was Alex just Dynamax Calyrex Ice after getting in position and just swept through Marcus's team.
I approve.
We didn't even talk about the unique part about this team, which is the Gastrodon.
I mean, I feel like Gastrodon is just like super standard at this point.
It is on the Sun teams. We don't see Gastrodon on the Trick Room teams very often.
Like, I mean, it's still just like, you know, having access to Storm Drain is very good against like Kyogres and like opposing Gastrodons and stuff like that. So I actually don't hate it.
I was about to say, I like it a lot because you have Incineroar, Reshiram, which don't really care for Kyogre too much. And again, it's just like, I'm going to bring Gastrodon in. It works really well under Trick Room. I'm going to click Yawn all game, and now you're stuck in this game where if you don't pivot, you're going to go to sleep. And you get to play that nasty Trick Room game, especially if your opponent's just got like passive leads. Last team for Top Cut, Marcus Statner. This is a very familiar name. If it's not familiar, this was a local event for him. Just essentially just like right down the road from him. Him and Wolfie and Aaron Trailer all prepped together. And
oh, sweet. That's actually really awesome.
And what ended up happening was they all made day 2. Aaron got bumped out real early. I think he finished 9-5 on the day.
Playing the same team, I'm assuming?
No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, no, they prepped together. I don't think any of them played the same 6.
Interesting.
If they did, it would have been Wolfie and Aaron playing the same 6. Marcus is very much a Yveltal style of player. He likes to play that pivoty, grindy mid-range game against these hyper-offensive teams and try to stall them out, like he did on camera against Alex in the last round of Swiss. That's what his team's designed to do, and it does it really well. Yveltal, Zacian, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Regieleki, Grimmsnarl. This team is very much just like, I'm get into a good position, but while I'm doing so, I'm either setting screens or intimidating or lowering your speed or fake out or something. I'm always actively doing something to your position to make it worse for you.
Yep, makes sense.
That's why it's AB Yveltal, Snarl, Sucker Punch, Foul Play, Oblivion Wing. I believe the Incineroar has Burning Jealousy. I believe it was this one.
Interesting. I like it.
Which it's super cool because it's going to get Zacian. Like, you're going to get Zacian pretty much 90% of the time, right? If they don't protect turn 1, they're pretty much in trouble. Or if you catch a Zacian on a pivot, on a switch it, you know what I mean?
I'm trying to think. I ran into something like pretty random that had Burning Jealousy. I'm like, oh, I'm dead. I can't beat that.
A Alolan Persian?
No.
Grimmsnarl.
Yes.
There you go.
Because again, Grimmsnarl is the bane of my existence and will do everything to make my life miserable at every given moment.
Yeah, that's just about normal. And so this team is also something I was practicing with, trying to figure out is just like, do I want to play this style of long grindy game? And the thing I found out is this team struggles if the opponent has good speed control compared to you, because you don't have good speed control. Mm-hmm. You're good at the single target stuff, but if there's like a Tailwind or like really good access to max airstream plus Tailwind, you're just in trouble.
Yeah,
because then you're super reliant on Regieleki. But I was very happy to see 2 Yveltals in Top Cut. If I remember correctly, Wolfie was 9th. He was playing Calyrex Shadow. His team was also super duper standard. Very, very standard from what I saw. Was like Calyrex Shadow, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Thundy, Whimsicott stuff. Just super duper standard with Zacian and Calyrex Shadow. I don't remember a whole lot of the other teams being played, but There was some cool stuff. I got to watch. There was a lot of cool matches to watch. Highly recommend going and watching them if you haven't. Or
Mm-hmm.
there you are.
Did I leave?
Apparently,
I didn't think I left.
you're back now.
Okay.
But there was a lot of EUIC that I enjoyed watching the matches. Their production value was much better, much improved compared to some of the other things.
Good.
we've seen.
I do love hearing that.
Maybe that's them committing to VGC a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
It'd be nice.
I'm scrolling through Twitter and came across a Arceus Sylveon deck from top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks cool. Arceus is obviously absurd. Got some Urshifus, some Octilleries. Yeah, this just looks like standard. Yeah, it looks cool. Cool deck list.
I was about to say, I was wondering if you were looking for that stuff or not yet.
I just, kind of doom scrolling as I do.
You want to talk about Team of the Week?
Yeah, this is so I've talked a while. By the way, you have an email with the picture in it.
Oh,
because
nice.
my phone is still a train wreck and I can't log into anything and I can't connect to anything and I don't know how to reset up my 2-factor authentication code on Google, so like I don't know how to log into my Discord account on my phone anymore.
Oh no.
Because like when I go to log in, it's like, all right, you're trying to log in from a different device. Use that device. I'm like, I can't.
I can't.
I'm trying to do it and it won't let me. So I don't know, man.
I don't know.
But I can't use that phone anyway because it doesn't have data. I can't make this stuff up, man. It's been like 3 months at this point, and it's just like I just want to talk to my friends, and I can't.
I mean, you're talking to me right now.
Yeah, but like during the day.
So like at work when you're supposed to be working.
Correct. I miss not working and getting paid for it, Carl.
I understand.
So, like I've kind of mentioned, I've kind of been out of like VGC because I've been streaming a lot of like Nuzlocke and stuff, and so like for the April IC, I had a team idea that I brought up a while back that I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna build it, I'm gonna play it, and this was the Giratina Zacian team that I ended up really liking, and like the idea was like, I think Giratina is very well positioned. I think it's super underrated. Obviously you struggle a lot against like opposing Yveltal, but that's not that popular, right, guys? It's not going to be a problem. But between the amount of bulk that you have access to, plus like redirection on Indeedee, you're able to take a Behemoth Blade or Play Rough from Zacian, even while like Dynamax. You can take a Astral Barrage from Calyrex Shadow and like be able to live hits. You can take Glacial Lance. Like there's a lot of hits that you just instantly are able to take, and that's like one of the big reasons I wanted to look into like really bulky Calm Mind Giratina, because after 1 or 2 or 3 Calm Minds, you're able to just Dynamax this thing and sweep. You know, if you have Indeedee next to it and just be able to click Follow Me, eliminate their Dynamax with redirection while you set up, and then Dynamax and reverse sweep them, it's a very good feeling. So this is the team I ended up playing in the April IC. I know I had a disconnect, and I think I had 2 losses on top of that.
I think I counted 5 and 3 or something like that.
I was gonna say it was 5 or 6 or 6 and 3. I don't know. I would have to like actually go back and watch the video, and I'm too lazy to do that.
I remember I'm the one who edited it. I'm pretty sure I counted 5 and 3.
Sure, I'll accept that. So like, you know, like the games that were actually like competitive were fairly close. I think this team struggles quite a bit against like the Rinya Sun team, but I also think there's things that you can do to make that a more positive matchup. One of the things looking at this, breaking this team down a little bit more, I really like Gyarados. This is just like mons I wanted to play with because I really like them. I think Gyarados is super unique as like this Intimidator that also has a form of speed control and Thunder Wave. And like when people see Gyarados, they think immediately like huge offensive presence, and you're just going to get them by playing support Gyarados with Focus Sash and just like ruin their day that way. The number of times I was able to like paralyze a Charizard and just make them very sad was beyond like too many to count. You also have like Taunt to be able to do things like that if you need. You have Blaziken here, which is like your big Groudon-esque Sun answer. Being able to just like Flare Blitz a Groudon into Oblivion is just one of the best feelings, and I will never get tired of it.
I was going to ask, you OHKO Groudon with Flare Blitz, right?
I'm pretty sure if it's not like a favorable roll, it's very good. I think I only did it once in the IC, and I was at +1 when I did it. I was also at like 30 HP, so I'm just like, all right, cool. This is a very fitting end.
Yeah, you're trading your Blaziken for a full health Groudon, sure.
Yeah, like sure, perfect.
Yeah.
But because you also have access to speed boost. Unfortunately, max speed Blaziken at +1 is not enough to outspeed max speed Zacian.
Yeah.
Which is like obviously kind of problematic, but also at the same time, max speed Zacian at the time was not very popular because people were worried about having offensive presence and like being able to do as much damage as they could. Mm-hmm. So the idea was that, well, you detect on turn 1 and then you fire off a Will-O-Wisp or just KO them and like completely ruin their day on turn 2.
Yeah.
So it allows Blaziken to play like that dual role of like support if need be, plus also a Dynamax target. Having access to White Herb means that you're able to just shrug off opposing Intimidators. You can just max Knuckle into an Ensign and ruin their day that way as well. Blaziken has a lot going for it, but unfortunately it's just not enough.
It was a little bit faster and just had a little bit more into it's like defense, like offensive bulk, like taking defensive hits. It'd probably be better, right? Even
like it currently has, I don't remember its speed tier off the top of my head. It's base 80. Like if it was 80, base 85, like if it was 85, it'd be just so much better.
Yeah,
just a few more points here and there.
Because base 85 gets to, oh gosh, I can't remember. It's like one.
I'm scrolling. Because there's no way to just search for a specific speed tier on here, on Showdown.
Like, I think base 85 gets you like
150.
Yeah, it gets you 150.
So you get to 225, which is just enough to outspeed both Calyrex and Zacians.
149 is the break point for Calyrex Shadow. Like, to outspeed it at +1, so...
Just short of that, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We are still like max speed just so like we can try to outspeed as many things as possible. This team is a lot of like 252s like across the board just because, hey, one, I was too lazy to do calcs, and two, I just wanted to play, and like that's the easiest way to put together a team.
I don't need to do calcs, just slap on some EVs, we'll call it a day.
I did a lot of calcs for like Giratina, and like the original idea of the team is I wanted to play like Comfey and like bluff weakness policy, but also just be able to have like heal pulse or healing wish or whatever, a floral healing. There we go, that one, and like just ruin their day that way. But unfortunately, I think that like the redirection, if you're trying to do Calm Mind Giratina things, is just way more impactful.
Fun fact for you.
Okay.
You could have put heal pulse on your Indeedee.
I seriously considered it. I think I don't hate it. I think the added damage from Helping Hand is very useful though, and that's kind of like the slot I would want to play with. Because like obviously I want to be able to have an attack, and like Protect is obviously insane, and I'm never getting rid of Follow Me, so it comes down to like exactly Helping Hand, and I would rather have the potential to do extra damage with like Rillaboom or Blaziken than to be able to have exactly Healing Wish or Heal Pulse.
I think I think the Heal Pulse would have been fine over Helping Hand on this team specifically, especially since Giratina is like, this is your dedicated max target for the most part. Blaziken's gonna try to outspeed everybody anyway, so that's cool, whatever. And so the follow me's not really necessary a whole lot because Blaziken's gonna just try to get to +2 speed and then just blow everybody up anyway. Right?
Yeah, the big thing there is like you can lead like Indeedee plus Blaziken, double protect on turn 1, and then like max Blaziken and follow me max Knuckle something, so now you're +2 speed, +1 attack. So you essentially just dragon dance every time you max Knuckle, and like games can snowball from there very quickly. But you know, it's fine. Obviously, like I talked about at the top, Yveltal is a very big problem.
Oh yeah.
And I like, who knew having 1, 2, 3 things that are weak to it, plus another that really doesn't like to see 4 things that are weak to it, and one that really doesn't like to see foul play is pretty bad for it. So
yeah.
I've been looking at replacing Rillaboom with Zapdos, which when this goes up, the dojo match I played against Blizz is already going to be live.
Yeah, it'll have.
Actually, I tested a version with Zapdos over it. And I think the conclusion I had was like Zapdos is fine. I think it feels okay on this team, especially because if you look at the items, there is no Life Orb. There is really no like dedicated Dynamax target outside of like boosted Giratina and occasionally like Blaziken. But I think having another strong max target, specifically like Zapdos here, could be good. If Venusaur is starting to pop up in popularity again, you probably want to be able to have access to like safety goggles then, and then just like ruin Venusaur's days that way.
Yeah.
But, like Blaziken can also Venusaur's base 80 as well, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Which is really unfortunate. Because even if you get Blaziken to +2, there's still the chance of just speed tying and losing the coin flip.
Yep.
Like obviously, if you're wanting to play like a more hyper competitive team, Blaziken should probably be Ensign, which then means you can play like any other water type instead of Gyarados.
Blastoise.
Yeah, probably like Blastoise. You can play like if you really want to, you can play like Gastrodon. I don't think it's very good on this team though. Rillaboom should probably be Zapdos. Like Indeedee Giratina, I think is actually genuinely very good and like worth considering and worth playing. And that's like the big conclusion I came away from playing this team is I think Giratina is still very underexplored in this format.
Yep.
But if Yveltal becomes very popular, then all this is for nothing. So
I was about to say, like, Yveltal's becoming popular right now.
Yep. And that's like super unfortunate because I think this team's super cool.
Okay.
But like, you know, obviously you can do things about that.
Yep.
So
rental code is on screen. Thanks, Carter, for Team of the Week. Go play it. Have
fun.
Yeah,
of course. That team's going to be up. If I do ever update it, this will probably get taken down and replaced with the Zapdos version or whatever. But yeah, if you're looking for something a little more unique, a little more fun, this is definitely up my alley. So
there you go.
Cool.
Okay. With that out of the way, I think it is time to get out of here.
I agree. I'm ready for bed.
Same.
Who knew getting up at 4 a.m. was so bad for me? And by bed, I mean I'm probably going to go play more Paper Mario, but gosh. You know, whatever.
Okay.
Look, I'm not addicted. I can stop anytime I wanted to.
Are you sure about that?
I don't want to quit.
I didn't think so.
So, I agree. I think it's about time we get out of here. So, as always, everyone, make sure you go like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. We really do appreciate all the likes and such. If you're listening over on Spotify and or Apple, go and drop us a review, preferably a 5-star review. If you're listening on Apple, of course, you know, you can drop your message down in the reviews there as well. And would love to get to read some reviews and everything for next week. Let's see. You can always go follow us on Twitter at LR Lessons, myself at Mr. Missouri25, Carlos at Musical VGC. You're going to be able to see him here at Indy next weekend.
This goes up Monday, which would be
the 25th.
And so I don't leave until the 6th of May.
Oh, okay. So we have another week. Got it.
So we'll have the second, whatever episode comes out the second, and then you will be recording with somebody else, and you'll have
I might have to be calling in. I might have to call in Swede. He doesn't know he's getting a phone call yet, but he might have to get a call.
Yeah, you'll have to record and upload it for my birthday.
Beautiful.
While I'm not here. You'll probably have to edit it too, unless you record it ahead of time. You're gonna have to edit it too.
Who needs editing?
You do that too.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll make sure we get it to
I'm about to say, if you want to record it this week early, I'm going to try and get everything done up ahead of time.
Yeah, I will message him and see what he's available to do.
Just make it a Nuzlocke episode or something. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's probably the idea. Is he thought about doing it a while back. I'm like, that's not really Carl's thing, but that's definitely my thing.
Yeah, you can talk Nuzlocke all you want.
So let's see. That's the Twitterverse.
Mm-hmm.
Go and follow us on Twitch at Mr. Missouri25. Carl's at Musical over there as well. If you really like what you see and want to support us, you can always drop a sub over there as well. Those do, directly go to help the podcast and the channel grow and all that good stuff. If you want to support the channel and, don't want to just give Jeff Bezos your money, I completely understand. You can always go over to the website and go over to the merch page on there and check out some new stuff. We have pint glasses now, which I'm super excited about because mine's going to be in this week, most likely.
Hopefully. I don't think I've got a shipping confirmation for that yet.
I would really like it because I really want to show it off when we're recording and stuff. I was about to say,
I've got my sticker on my water bottle now. It's great. This thing is huge. Like, hand for size. Like, this sticker is ginormous.
Yeah, you got all of your stickers for indie and stuff.
Still haven't got my shirt. Or your hat.
We have new colors of t-shirts. Carl went in and updated all that, so we have some new colors if you're interested in checking those out. I know Tiff got a purple.
Pink.
Kayla got purple.
Yeah.
We have new colors. Go check them out.
I got a blue one, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, there's several new colors. I think there's we have 4 or 5 different shirts, styles, and I think each of those has 2 or 3 new colors each. If
you need a long sleeve shirt, a short sleeve shirt,
hoodie, you name it, there's new colors. So, I think that's everything. Discord, community Discord.
Gotta plug the Discord.
The best way for you to communicate with me occasionally.
When Carter is at his computer not playing Paper Mario or Blue Kaizo, that's when you can get a hold of him.
Look, I don't need to be called out like that. You're not incorrect. You're not incorrect, but I don't need to be called out.
Yep.
That link is always down in the show notes. That's how you have access to all of our events and everything. Should have a LRQ this next weekend if you're interested in qualifying for our invitational. That's going to be coming up here in a few months.
I think we got a loaded week this week because I think there's a Rumble and an LRQ.
Oh, sick.
So this week is loaded. Let me double check here. Someone was just asking the Discord just a little bit ago. Someone's going to double check here. So yeah, there's a Rumble on Wednesday the 27th at 5. And then we have our LRQ on the 30th. And then we have another Rumble on the 1st. So this is a loaded weekend here. A lot of points on the line trying to get all of this in before Indianapolis starts.
Beautiful.
So you got 3 events this week, people. I'm going to be expecting a lot of people to keep me playing.
Mm-hmm.
No slacking off. We were nice and let Poppy have his event today. So
yeah, Top Cut is tomorrow, which
what is Top Cut? I want to see it. Did he have
it's X and 2. I saw it while I was doom scrolling.
Send that to me. I want to see it. I got to get data.
I'll ship it to you. I don't know if we have teams and stuff yet. I know Evan was going to do compiling and all that for him, hopefully.
Well.
So yeah. I think that's all I got.
Discord, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, merch page,
website
stuff. I think that's everything. We got
I
our
think so,
AdSense
man.
back. If you skipped the ad, shame on you.
Yeah, please don't. It really does help us. I know it's not like we don't make a ton off them, but
But it
I would
helps.
really like to make more than nothing.
We made $1 last week. We made a whole $1.
What? Hell yeah.
Off just
Love
that
to
one
see it.
episode, we just made a whole $1. And that's...
Carl, if we put out 100 more episodes, we'll have $100.
Woo! Okay,
But
I think that's it.
I think that's it. So, as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Peace.